What's good, my lady? Welcome back to another lovely, beautiful, sexy, amazing video of the equally lovely, equally beautiful, equally sexy, and equally amazing lit. I already know what time it is. Now let's go. Now guys, today's video is going to be about whether or not J Hus is losing his place as part of the big three, and whether Central Cee is the one taking his spot from him. And we're going to break this down in way more detail. But already know what you got to do. You just got to like, comment, subscribe to be up to date, drop a banger like this one, and hit that noty, because you're in the knee, so you can be the first to know one of these videos comes out. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now guys, I'll be very honest with you. J Hus dropped his last album, Beautiful and Brutal Yard, this year, and I just haven't gone back to it. I've listened to the album in its entirety about 3 times now, but those 3 times were around the release of the original album. And now that we're into the final months of the year, I'm starting to realize that this album doesn't have the longevity that previous Hus albums have had. And honestly, I think this album was a bit of a letdown, for loss of a better term. Don't get me wrong, the album does have some good songs on there for sure. I mean, I really like Massacre and the song Masculine, and of course Who Told You is a banger, but I don't know, a lot of this album just seems like a little bit of fluff. Like, none of these songs really provide the same addictive flair that previous J Hus hits have had, like Did You See or Must Be or Fisherman. I don't think any of the songs on this album are even touching some of the aforementioned songs that I just said. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I said that if J Hus knocked this third album out of the park, then he would have solidified himself undisputably as one of the UK GOATs. And that's facts, no real. And unfortunately, this album doesn't do much to put him in that realm. I'm gonna be honest. The disrespect. Can it still be argued that with the 2 albums he's got so far, he can be considered an undisputed GOAT? Of course. I mean, I personally think Common Sense is one of the best UK rap albums that we've got of recent times. But I mean, he's only got 2 really classic projects, and 3 is the magic number. And speaking of 3, I think it's safe to say that, you know, America has their big 3 being Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick when it comes to rapping. And I think we have our own big 3 in the UK, that being Stormzy, Dave, and J Hus. I think the majority of people can agree that this has been the UK big 3 for quite some time, for at least since 2019, I'd say. And this is of course based on numbers, based on music quality wise, based on impact, all things of that nature. But I can't lie, J Hus's spot is starting to look a little bit shaky, I'm not gonna lie. Central Cee is approaching closely behind him, and it looks like he's hungry for that top spot, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And numbers wise, he's kind of already exceeded J Hus. Because if we look at the numbers, and you know I love to look at the numbers, Central Cee now has 6 top 10 hits, whereas J Hus only has 4. J Hus only has 4 platinum songs, whereas Central Cee has 6. And Central Cee now has a #1 under his belt, which J Hus still hasn't accomplished as of yet. And speaking of #1, Central Cee's last album, 23, debuted at #1 with sales of 29,764 copies, which is almost double the first week sales for Beautiful and Brutal Yard, which, yes, it did go #1, but it only had 17,260 units moved, which, I mean, Dave on his second album did 74,000. His first album did 26,000. Even J Hus's last album, Big Conspiracy, did 24,000. So this is a huge drop off for him. And especially considering this was J Hus's comeback, essentially, these numbers are disappointing to say the least. Now, I know some people in the comments are going to say none of that matters because Central Cee is nowhere near as good of an artist as J Hus. And honestly, I would be inclined to agree with you. I don't think many people would argue against J Hus being considered a way more talented artist than Central Cee. He's more versatile than Centr. He's more melodic. He can rap, he can sing, he can do it all. However, there's a reason why the old adage has stood the test of time. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And if we extrapolate that into this situation, J Hus dropped his last album in 2020. That's basically the year that Central Cee blew up, and since then he's gone on to take over the UK scene, and he's even branched out onto the global music scene too. He's everywhere right now. So I think once Central Cee got his foot through the door, he just hasn't let up. He hasn't taken his foot off the gas. He's just going and going, and now 3 years later, he's got the longest running UK rap song of all time. At number 1, that is. And in those 3 years, you know what J Hus was doing in that time?
I don't give a fuck, Keisha.
Absolutely nothing, mate. We didn't hear a peep from this guy. All we got was random Instagram freestyles that it looked like he did after he just took a shit and he was just standing outside his bathroom door. So I say all of this to say that J Hus better start dropping some more tunes. He better start showing us why we consider him as part of the UK Big Three, because if he disappears for 3 years again, I don't think he'll be considered as part of the Big Three anymore. Sure, people won't forget what music has brought us in the past, but the music industry is one of those places where it's not what you've done, it's what have you done for me lately. I mean, in 3 years, Central Cee could have more number ones, he could have a number 1 album, he could be getting top 40s in America, he could be at the Grammys for all we know.
Cap.
And with all of that success, bearing in mind that the quality of the music is also matching the success, it'll be very hard to not put Central as part of the Big Three, I can't lie. It'll be difficult. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Stormzy also factors into this as well, because his last album was absolute toilet water, and I haven't forgot about him, trust and believe. That might be another video for another day. But I don't know what it is about Stormzy, but he just makes the right moves. He's in the right places, he does the right collaborations, he does the right PR moves. The Stormzy brand is so strong right now that it would take a lot to remove him out of the Big Three. And that's even with the subpar music that he's been dropping. You know, he's got too many number ones, I can't lie. So yeah, if J Hus's management team are watching this video, wake him up, tell him he needs to start doing some features. He needs to start dropping some bangers. That whole gimmick of dropping and disappearing, it only works when every time you come back, it's a home run. And only few people in music in general can pull that off consistently. The Kendricks, the Coles, the Bruno Marses, the Adeles, and even they will still be more in the mix than J Hus has been. Well, maybe not Kendrick and definitely not Adele. I know that Adele don't do features for nobody, but I mean, J Hus ain't Adele. I hate to say it, but he's not Adele.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
But in the words of Heady One,
It's a bit of a sticky one still.
let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. But on the road to 2,000 subs, you already know what time it is. You can follow my personal IG at theonlylitt. If you care about what I do, I'm not making these bangers for you. I post updates on Twitter as well, so you might as well follow me on there, because what else are you doing with your life? Absolutely nothing, mate. Stay black. And if you're not black, stay whatever race you are. I bet. Peace.
Well, you ain't know I could sing.